what does well with combat? Slapping music! When you hear the name MiHoYo or HoYoverse, you generally think of Genshin Impact, the company and developer behind this amazing game. Now, HoYoverse has released other games as well, like Honkai Impact, but there's no denying how massively successful Genshin Impact has been since its launch, and many players have found out about HoYoverse due to the release of Genshin. Well, soon, HoYoverse might just be known for another game, because recently they have announced a new project called Zenless Zone Zero and released a trailer for this game. Hey, what is going on, guys? It's Johnny and welcome to the Not Another Genshin Impact video. Oh boy, that feels weird saying. In today's video, we're gonna be talking about Zenless Zone Zero and discuss why I'm personally excited for this game, as well as things that stood out to me. Let's check out the trailer that was released and see just what kind of game this is. Before we do jump into it, guys, if you do like the video, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. This will greatly help our channel to grow and help with the YouTube algorithm and recommend the video to other viewers. Now, without any further ado, let's jump right into it. The trailer starts off by captioning something brand new and a mascot of sorts that appears alongside a male and female character. Now, if you played Genshin, then this will be reminiscent of Aether, Lumine, and Paimon. It's safe to say that in Zenless, the male and female characters introduced will be the main characters. This shouldn't come as a surprise as well because it's an element that HoYoverse likes to use. When you start your adventure, players will most likely choose an MC between both genders, but I gotta say, both characters look incredible and the environment just looks fantastic. Looking at the clothing, you can definitely see it's more modernized than Genshin. They have jackets, jeans, skirts, and even sneakers. Like, look at those kicks! Even pedestrians have business professional attire and school uniforms. The overall setting also looks like it's within a city, and a busy one at that, as you see different stores. One thing that I'm curious about is if Zenless will have a large map like Genshin that has an open world feeling of free exploration. I really do hope so because exploration is one of the best features for an adventure game. In Genshin, players travel across Teyvat and will encounter new regions, towns, and cities. However, towns and cities are generally safe and do not contain any monsters or enemies. Enemies are generally out in the open world area that you'll encounter as you're exploring. For Zenless, it'll definitely be interesting to see how players will run into enemies in a city that's popular with civilians. Maybe certain areas will contain enemies and certain ones will have civilians. But nonetheless, it'll be interesting to see how they approach this. There's also a lot of characters that will introduce and different species as well. You do have characters like Diona and Goro in Genshin who are technically different species, but they still have features that humans do. The same can be said about Zenless as well because they have cat-like characters, and maybe even more because it's a freaking one-eyed bear, a demon child, and Wolf from Star Fox. This is really cool to see because even though the game appears more modernized, it still has that fantasy theme behind it. After showing off the characters, we get to see Zenless Zone Zero's official logo. And can we just quickly appreciate how the logo looks? Like, it looks very simple because it's just 3 Z's combined, but man, does it look clean. In the next scene, you see one of the characters that was shown previously fly into battle, Anbi. It doesn't appear like she has a jetpack or anything that permits her to fly, so most likely some characters might naturally have the ability to fly by themselves, but in which case, flying would be a very cool feature to have in an adventure game. Genshin offers a sort of similar system, but instead of flying, you're using wind gliders to glide. But gliding does have its limitations because you're constantly descending, whereas flying is more free. Now, I personally didn't play the closed beta of Tower Fantasy, but through the gameplay videos, we can see that flying is something that you can do. Since Zenless looks more futuristic and modernized than Genshin, flying would be a very cool feature that I would love to see. When playing an action game, combat is generally one of the first things that players look at. But you know what does well with combat? Slapping music! As we head into combat, we get a first look at some enemies within Zenless. These enemies look rather alien. Looks like one of them has a sword for an arm and accidentally cut the other one off, while the other one somehow chopped off both! Maybe it's because they don't have eyes. But seriously, the combat in this game looks absolutely insane. The combat looks very fluid and fast-paced as well. One of the reasons I love fast-paced action combat games is because of the quick reaction time required. This generally provides more of a challenging gameplay experience, which helps keep the game interesting. Zenless looks like no exception as well, as there are many characters with different abilities. One thing I do hope for the game though is that characters have more abilities than what they had in Genshin. Now, this will probably depend on how the game plays out, whether it's a game where a player controls one character or a party that consists of multiple characters. If Zenless plays similar to Genshin, then that'll be fine because you'll have multiple characters. Since both games are under the same company, we can most likely expect some similarities with the combat system. You can actually see some resemblance already. If you've ever played Genshin, then you'll notice some cinematics in the trailer that look like the exact same sequence when using an elemental burst in Genshin. Whichever the case, I'm very excited for the combat, but do hope that there's some sort of customization for abilities, like a skill tree, just for players to be a little creative. The game also offers a variety of weapons, even guns are included, which makes sense for a modern style game. We see swords, guns, daggers, a hammer that turns into a canyon, and many more. This is exciting to see because it potentially means new weapon types could be added in the future and not feel as limited. Characters also appear like they are in groups as well. You have the Gento House, which consists of 4 members, 2 of which we know are Anbi, the sword user, and Nicole, the hammer that turns into a canyon user. The rest of the group's names are partially covered and hard to make out, but we can expect characters to have different relationships with one another, which is a key element for a good story. Overall, the game only released 1 trailer, and there's still so much more that we do not know of. From what we have seen from the trailer though, the game looks very promising with amazing combat, unique characters, a variety of weapons, and even the environment as well looks lively. The art style for the game is something I think players will be a huge fan of because it kind of resembles a comic book style, sort of like Persona. I'm very excited for this game and will definitely be releasing more content on Zenless Zone Zero as more information is released, and cannot wait to explore new Eridu. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to smash that like and subscribe button. Don't forget also turn that notification bell so you don't miss on any newly released videos. I've been Johnny D, and until next time, I'll catch you guys in the next one.